The Feast of the Ascension is an ongoing experience. We all have seen the risen Christ, and having seen him, we want him to never leave us. That is how the disciples must have felt. We witness the ascension of Jesus as a foreshadowing of the end times when we will all be together enjoying each other's company. Like the early Christians who witnessed the resurrection, we are called to minister to each other and to continue Christ's work as brothers and sisters. We need to put away our petty differences because in this Ascension Feast, we are to carry out what Jesus began while he was with us. We are his new body. We are a community of believers remembering the agony of the cross and reliving that glorious resurrection every day. I know when somebody we love leaves us, we feel so alone. And emptiness engulfs us all, but we are never alone. We have our memories, and we also have the Holy Spirit to comfort and guide us. Christ himself told us he will prepare a place for us in his Father's house. And in that house, there are many rooms. And I like to think that one of those rooms is a large kitchen where the aroma of prepared Italian cooking permeates the entire house. That cooking is part of that eternal wedding banquet that awaits all of us. That is the promise of the Ascension. In 1994, Hollywood released a popular film called Forrest Gump, starring Tom Hanks in an Oscar-winning role. The film can be a little camp at times, but has some interesting insights. At one point in the story, when Forrest is feeling rejected by all the people he loves, he gets an urge to just start running. So he walks out the door, jogs across the yard, jogs down the road, and doesn't stop. In fact, when he gets to the ocean and runs out of road, he just turns around and runs the other way. Throughout his run, he is videotaped on national news. When asked why he's running, they say, "World peace? Women's rights?" He answers, "I'm just running." Unintentionally, he sparks a huge national following. The humorous and meaningful event that ends his journey takes place in the middle of a, quote, desert. Forrest stops, long-haired, long-bearded, and turns around. The handful of sweaty joggers who have followed him shh each other, "Quiet, he's gonna say something." "I'm kind of tired," he says. "I think I'll go home now." Forrest walks through the small and silent crowd, and one of them yells after him, "Well, what are we supposed to do now?" Think of the disciples the moment Jesus left them. All people are looking for the answers to life's deepest questions. But since our thirst for truth and happiness is infinite, because that's how God made us, no finite worldly thing can satisfy us. The characters in the film, mindlessly following Tom Hanks' Gump, personified that thirst for meaning. The fact that their hero leaves them without any explanation illustrates the inability of the things of this world, money, fame, politics, pleasure, to provide that meaning. Eventually, we get tired of them. They let us down. But only Christ is infinite goodness, power, and wisdom. Only he is the way, the truth, and the life that we all are searching for. Today, the church is inviting us to reflect on this great mystery of our faith, Christ's ascension into heaven. As we do so, we should feel our confidence in God renewed and strengthened. Jesus is ruling history right now. None of the difficulties, injustices, and problems that we face as individuals, families, and societies is outside of his knowledge or power. He is at work in all things, even if it's sometimes hard for us to see exactly how. As today's Mass prayers remind us, Christ, the mediator between God and man, Judge of the world and Lord of all, has passed beyond our sight, not to abandon us, but to be our hope. How can we express this hope, this confidence in God? By sharing it with others. Jesus didn't tell his followers that he was one of the many ways, truths, and lives that are out there, and none of the other founders of world religions rose from the dead and ascended into heaven. And let their resurrection and ascension be witnessed by hundreds of followers. Only Jesus Christ himself is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-good. Only his mercy can heal hearts that have been wounded by sin and evil. Only his wisdom can untangle the moral knots that today's secular culture has tied in the minds of our neighbors. And we know Jesus Christ. We are the ones who can share the good news with those who don't. When Jesus ascended into heaven, he didn't take the members of the church with him. Instead, he entrusted his mission to their care. Go out into the whole world, he said as he ascended. That mission is to follow Christ and help others do the same, is still in full swing today. Unfortunately, tragically, on Tuesday, 19 children and 2 teachers themselves ascended to heaven to be met by the ascended Jesus, who is there to embrace them and to love them for all eternity. It's now in our hands to fulfill our part and to do our best in this world, because God will do the rest.